Hey YouTube, it's Alicia here. Hope everybody is having a great day. None other. I am here to do a wrestling talk. But what I'm here to do is I'm here to talk about WWE, and I'm here to talk about some of the former WWE superstars' talent that has been wasted. That is current and former superstars. So I'm gonna tell y'all who I'm gonna be talking about. We have women, we have men, and we have former superstars. Some people who have gotten success outside of WWE, and some who has came from other companies and kind of sort of not getting much as of a boost. So let's start off with the women, because I want to talk to y'all about them first. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 women we're going to talk about. So we're in no particular order. Let's get started. So the first person I have to come and talk about, Emma, formerly known as Talia Dashwood from TNA Impact. Now, as y'all remember, when Emma was part of WWE. You know, Emma was kind of popular, but she wasn't never in the title picture. She was always in these gimmick matches. And because she was in these gimmick matches, you know, we never saw her as a top. I think some of y'all probably was disappointed when when they released her. Okay, she was released once for something else, but then when she was released the second time, she left the company and she started working on the independent circuit. Okay, she gets to TNA. She signs to TNA for a good, I think, 4 or 5 or 6 years, and she was on TNA. While she was on TNA, she became one of their top female superstars. She became a TNA Impact Women's Champion. She held that title for almost a good 10 months until she lost the title. Now, I want y'all finna get something here. Okay, we have Chelsea Green. Okay, you know, Chelsea Green, she has several failed attempts in the WWE, and then she left, and then she got terminated, and then she started working on the independent circuit, and then she got signed to TNA Impact. While she was on TNA Impact, the first around, she was known as Laurel Van Ness. When she went back to TNA, she went back to the Laurel Van Ness name. Okay, Laurel Van Ness name. But when she came, that was on 2 separate occasions, she went by the Laura Van Ness. But then she came back for a third time, but this time with her husband, Matt Cardona. Well, I'm going to get to him in a minute. She went by Chelsea Green. Okay. Because of that, while she was there, she became TNA Women's Champion, and she was very successful. Now you see her now on WWE. She's tag teaming with Sonya Deville, and they're going for the women's tag team title. And I'm going to talk about that at a later date. But if you see, she's sort of like in these sort of like gimmicky matches now, and I don't think WWE is considering her accomplishments from TNA as a former women's champion and a former women's tag team champion as well. Okay, let's get Scarlet Bardeaux. Now, Scarlet Bardeaux, she wasn't much of a wrestler, and she's not much of a wrestler in WWE, but when she was on TNA, she was a wrestler. She was like one of their popular superstars, even though her gimmick, and let me just say, her gimmick was very over-sexualized and thing. I'll say she did put on a good programming. She put on a good programming with Flava. Now, I can't, please, y'all, if I pronounce his name wrong, I am so sorry. But she put on a good program with him, and she had a good program, and she was like almost one of the top female superstars, but she never had the held the TNA Knockout Women's Championship, but she was one of the top superstars in TNA. Okay, I'm going by what I remember. Okay. Last two, and then we're gonna get on trend in a minute. I have to start with Zelina Vega, formerly known as Rosita, when she was on TNA. Now, with Rosita, she came in as the partner of Salinas. I hope I pronounced that name right. Selena, I can't think of that girl name. I'll put her name down, but she was teamed up with LAX. She was part of the group of LAX and stuff, and it was a female. I can't think of her name, y'all, but I can remember it. But she wore a mask and stuff, and they was part of LAX, and they was tag team champions for a long time. They dethroned the Beautiful People, and they became tag team champs. They was tag team champs for almost a good 11 months, and they got dethroned. You see what I'm showing you. But if you see Zelina now, Zelina can wrestle. She can wrestle. She probably could be a top champion if WWE give her that opportunity. But they gave her an opportunity, but they can't pull the trigger to just put a title on her. And that's the problem I don't see. I see you saw her value when she was in TNA. Why you don't see her value now while she's on WWE? Okay, last but not least, Michin, better known as Maya Yim. They call her Michin, but everybody still calls her Maya Yim. She goes see what's going by Michin, but it's Maya Yim and stuff. And Maya Yim, oh my God, she accomplished a lot while she was in TNA. She is a three-time TNA Knockout Women's Champion. Why WWE cannot just pull the trigger and treat her right? Put her in a top. You have a former TNA Knockout Women's Champion. That should be giving y'all the instep of, hello, she's a former TNA Knockout Champion. We need to see what we can do with her. We need to see if we can get her in that women's title picture. Because I feel like if they can put her in that title picture, I think her wrestling career will take off, be the top superstar. And I think because she was a top superstar in TNA, I think that's great. Now, as y'all know, Naomi, now known as Trent will be going up against Dana Purrazzo for the women's TNA title belt. Okay, now my thing is, y'all see all these females I just mentioned that are, some that are currently on WWE and one that mostly half of them are on WWE and one that's in TNA. You see the success of some of them in some of these females that I mentioned. But if you look at it, you see the successfulness. You see they were so successful, but WWE is not valuing their successfulness from TNA. To get me to think, I think they're trying to downplay their wrestling skills to make somebody else look good. And let me ask y'all, do y'all think WWE is doing it wrong even though they have title belt reigns under their belt from other companies? And do you think WWE needs to treat these women right? And like I've said, because like I said, these are female wrestlers. They are wasting their talent. But then we got one that WWE wasted the last few years talent. Naomi, now Trent, come into TNA, and out the back, she is put on a pedestal. Look at this. You see her. Y'all see it every week on TNA. She is being put on a pedestal. She is going to show WWE, this is what you're missing. And she has done it. She has showed it. She has showed it what they are missing and showing what she could have done if they had treated her right. Okay, now let's go on to the men. Now, for the men, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 men, but I do have an extra female, but I'm going to come back and talk about her because we already know about her. Let's talk about Cameron Grimes. I feel like Cameron Grimes has gotten a little success over in TNA. When he started in TNA, let's talk about that. Cameron Grimes started into TNA under the name Trevor Lee. Trevor Lee, he was brought in to TNA by Gregory Helms. Okay, some of y'all might forget that. Cameron Grimes was once in TNA. Cameron Grimes, when you see him now on WWE, they got this storyline that I don't think that suits him. And he has a little bit more success on TNA than he did. He had more success on TNA than he has on WWE. Have he held any title belt since he's been here, been on WWE or NXT? If you look at NXT, he has not held nail title belt. Let's talk about nail title belt. Not even a title belt. And let me just say, it's kind of pitiful to see that and think. But I think WWE can do better by Cameron Grimes. Because if you think about it, Cameron Grimes, when he was known as Trevor Lee on TNA, he's a 4 or 5 time X Division champion. Okay, let's talk about Joaquin Wilde. Joaquin Wilde, formerly known as DJ Zema or Zema Ion. Now, I remember him as both. And it was a lot of controversy around him when he was in TNA. And I'm going to mention it in here. Okay, he's also a former X Division champion. But Joaquin Wilde had a lot of controversy around him. Okay, over some comments he said about a wrestler who got hurt. And the controversy was with Jesse Swanson. If y'all remember the wrestler Jesse Swanson got hurt doing a match with DJ Zema, and when he was better known as Zema Ion. When he was known as Zema Ion, this is what caused them to make him change his name, because of the backlash. Because of the backlash with Jesse Swanson and he getting hurt, and he got paralyzed because of a move that Zema Ion, Joaquin Wilde, did and stuff. And in there, I'm just gonna say he said a comment about Jesse Swanson being in a vegetation state. That's what he said. Some comments doing with that. He said a comment doing with that. I don't want to go into it, but TNA forced him to change his name, and he goes by Zema. Then he went by DJ Zema. Okay, he went by that for so many years, and then he left. He was released from his contract, and then after 2 years, he tried out for WWE, and he became part of WWE NXT and stuff. From his NXT to now on the main roster, I feel like they could do a little bit more better with him. But, he's part of the new version of LWO with Zelina Vega and Santo Escobar. And it's another guy I can't call his name. But they're part of a group along with Rey Mysterio. So I'm thinking that we need to see better from WWE when it comes to him. Speaking Santo Escobar, formerly known as Phantasma. Now, if y'all did not know that he was known as Phantasma, yes, He comes from a legendary wrestling family. Phantasma Senior, Phantasma Junior, and Phantasma. He's known as Phantasma. He comes from a very legendary wrestling family. And while he was on TNA, he also held. He's been in so many companies. He's been in Lucha Underground. Let me just say it: Lucha Underground, Lucha Underground, Lucha Libre, TNA Impact. Oh my God, he's been at several companies in the U.S., in Mexico, overseas. You name it, he's been there. But as he was under the name Phantasma, he has held several many title belts over different companies. But he has the one noted I remember from him is his time in TNA and Lucha Libre and Lucha Libre Underground. When he was on Lucha Libre Underground, he won the Los Dentores title belt. He won that on Lucha Libre Underground. He also won the X Division title belt, so he's a two-time I think it's a one-time or two-time X Division title belt on TNA. So you see, they come from good beginnings, and they're not being utilized in the right way with WWE. And I got a suspicion with that when I'll go through. Then you got Karrion Kross, formerly known on TNA as Killer Kross. Okay, he was known as Killer Kross on TNA. He also has had X Division Gold in TNA X Division title belt and the heavyweight title belt. So you see, he has held both of those titles, but we have not seen nothing good come from him from NXT to W on the main roster. They need to do something to change him up and his wife up. Don't forget, he's married to Scarlett, formerly known as Scarlet Bardeaux. Okay, then we have Zack Ryder. Now, y'all know Zack Ryder was on WWE for so many years until he was released. Once he was released, after a year, now known as Matt Cardona, he went to TNA. He's been in TNA for the longest. He haven't too long ago just was released out of his contract. So I'm getting a suspicion that he might come back to WWE. While he was in TNA, he held the heavyweight championship. He beat Moose for the heavyweight championship. I remember that one. He beat Moose for the TNA heavyweight title belt to get me to say, if he came back to WWE, if WWE going to put him in the top contention, or if WWE going to put him in the jobber contention, because I'm going to talk about that at a later date when it comes to certain superstars who comes back. Now, speaking of, now let me get on, I'm going around, and let me go on and talk about Drew McIntosh, formerly known as Drew Galloway. Drew McIntosh, you know, he started off in WWE, and then WWE released him. And then he started doing wrestling on the independent circuit, and then he gets a TNA contract for I think for 3 or 4 years, and then he popped back into WWE and in NXT, and then he came back to the main roster. From that time, I feel like Drew McIntosh, he held the TNA, and let me just say, he held the TNA Heavyweight Championship. And I remember he held that title belt at least, and I'm hoping I got this right, at least 3 times. I remember him holding it at least 3 times, 3 different reigns before he ever left to come back to WWE. I feel like how WWE, when he came onto the main roster, they gave him, he was like top dog. He was like the 3rd top dog in command next to Roman Reigns, who's the top dog, Seth Rollins, and him and stuff. But do you see where I'm talking? What I'm talking about is, you look at when some of them left WWE and they go and work for another company and they be so successful, WWE is going to try to find ways to get them back, and that's what they have done with certain superstars. With certain superstars, they have done that with, and they promising them top star status. But if you look at them, they are like mid card. If you look at it, it's mid card. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go on and talk about we're going to talk about LA Knight, formerly known as Eli Drake. Now, I've been telling y'all this for months. He still has that same persona he had when he was on TNA. He held when he was on TNA under the name Eli Drake. He has held he's a 5-time TNA heavyweight champion. I know that for a fact. I remember those. And him having that was like one of the craziest things. What was the craziest thing, y'all? He held that for five times. He held the TNA heavyweight title belt 5 times. So under the name Eli Drake, he has that. Now, as in WWE, to me, they do not know how to use him. Certain things he has done some pretty good matches. But when I say I haven't seen enough from him, I haven't seen enough from him. I haven't seen him do enough. It's not the Eli Drake. It's not the LA Knight Eli Drake persona. It's the same persona. It's just we don't have the cockiness. And that's what's missing with him. And like I'm saying, he's getting these drab matches. Something needs to be done. I'm saying it. Something needs to be done. And the last guy I have to come and talk about, I remember him when he was on Lucha Libre Underground. And I have always told y'all this. It's Ricochet. Ricochet, when he was starting out, before he ever came to WWE, he came to WWE in 2014. Around 2014. Okay. During that time, before he came to WWE, he wrestled in a promotion that's no longer, you don't no longer hear about, and it's not, you don't see it no more. It's called Lucha Libre Underground. Now, Lucha Libre Underground was done through Lucha Libre. If you heard of Lucha Libre, you probably heard of them. They have really huge Mexican wrestlers, especially masked men and masked female wrestlers who look up to Rey Mysterio. I'm just saying. But Ricochet, before he was known as Ricochet, was known as Prince Puma on here. And while he was on Lucha Libre Underground, he was their heavyweight champion for over 3 years. Over 3 seasons, he was heavyweight champion. He lost them, and he will regain them back. But over that time, he had won that Lucha Libre Heavyweight Championship at least 4 times. And to get me to say, we know his quality. If you followed him when he was known as Prince Puma on Lucha Libre, we know what he can do. So we don't see why WWE don't give him the opportunity to hold a top heavyweight title belt or WWE title belt and stuff like that. He's highly decorated. Ricochet is one of the highly decorated superstars. And look, he comes from greatness, but you're not treating him with that greatness. What did you promise him when he got over here? And he's the only wrestler that held 2 title belts in TNA and NXT. He held the North American title belt And he has held the men's NXT title belt. To get me to say, hold up, Triple H, Vince McMahon, what did you do to change your mind about him? He's one of the greatest wrestlers you have. And I'll say he's probably one of the greatest high flyers next to Rey Mysterio. What y'all doing? And then last but not least, we have Sasha Banks. Now, Sasha Banks started off in WWE, and as it got down into her career, they started not valuing her abilities. She's more, when it came down to it, if you look at minority female wrestlers, Sasha Banks and Naomi alone, let me just talk about Sasha Banks and Naomi. They was the most talented ones there. But Sasha was starting being disvalued. Her talent was being wasted. Her talent was being wasted. And you gotta think about this, y'all. How do WWE value their minority male or female wrestlers? And that's one of the things you need to think about. How, and stuff. And so I'm going to ask you this. Is WWE wasting superstars' talent? Is WWE wasting the superstars' talent? Until then, y'all, I'm Alicia. Don't forget to thumbs up this video, comment below, and subscribe to my channel. Bye.